very warm welcome to this week's edition of the Ladies Club. Thank you so much for tuning in as we chat about game changers and trailblazers when it comes to women in sport. Now, we're going to be shining the spotlight on women who are shattering the glass ceiling in netball coaching. And of course, you at home are welcome to join in the conversation. You can find us on all our social media platforms. Our Twitter handle is @sport, @SABC, @Lebo Motswedi, and just to continue to use the hashtag The Ladies Club. We're also on Facebook as well as Instagram. Now, let's talk about netball for a minute. It is one of the most popular women's participation sports in the country. And over the years, coaches have been a really huge and influential part in the sport, building teams that are worthy of national glory. Today, we celebrate those coaches who are playing a very prominent role in advancing netball in our country. But before we continue about that, let's look at today's quote, as we usually start by chatting with our game changers today. But we'd like to set the tone first with an inspiring quote. And this week's quote is from Pam Golden, and she says, "I've always believed that women can do anything they set their hearts on." I can't wait to hear what our game changer is going to say about that code. But Pam Golden was the founder and life president of Pam Golden Property Group, and she built a formidable property business that is renowned around the world, inspiring generations of women in business who have followed her example. She was highly revered by her peers and the business sector at large, receiving numerous accolades and awards throughout her illustrious career. Now, we're about to go for a quick break, but before we do, let's also take a look at what's making news, the headlines around South Africa when it comes to women in sport. Let's zoom in on cricket, where Cricket South Africa now recently showered, and it showed its commitment to gender equality after appointing Lauren Eggenberg to the reserve list umpires panel, as well as Chandra Fritz to the match referees panel for the 2019-20 season. Last year, remember, Eggenberg became the first South African woman to umpire to stand in the T20s when she officiated the game between South Africa as well as Sri Lanka at Newlands Stadium. Fritz, on the other hand, represented the Proteas women in 59 ODIs and 26 T20s. That's from 2003 up until 2014. Customer 2012, she was named a South African Women's Cricketer of the Year award. We're going to take a quick break, but remember, we have our game changer. She's also a trailblazer. She's all sorts of perfection. She's been there, done that in the green and gold, and this year was also given a very prestigious position when it comes to women awards. I'm talking about ZANELE MDODANA. She's sitting here right next to me, getting ready to obviously giving you everything when it comes to her career, her choices, her coaching career, and what became of her after she decided to hang up the green and gold. All of that coming up right after this. Welcome back. Please join in on our Facebook and Twitter handles via email as well with regards to your comments. We'd love to hear from you at sport@SABC, @Lebo Motswedi. Now, we're joined in the studio by an amazing game changer. She is someone who has dedicated her entire life and career to netball. Many know her as the captain of the Proteas, who during her time broke a 12-year losing streak, and that was against England in her time. Her continuous hard and dedication to the game saw her becoming the first black head coach at the University of Stellenbosch. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about the lovely, enchanting ZANELE MDODANA, who has a level 2 coaching qualification, which is the highest that is being offered in South Africa. She began her career at school within the Port Elizabeth region before moving on to the Nelson Mandela Metropolitan University in 2014. And she is a great inspiration to many girls, young ones, who are hoping to follow in her footsteps. Big shoes to fill. ZANELE, welcome to the Ladies Club today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's awesome to be here.
Where does one even begin if they want to fill in those shoes, girl? Where do we even begin?
Yeah, it has been an exciting journey, beautiful one, with many ups and downs, but one I wouldn't trade for anything.
Let's start way back in your youth when the game of netball is what you decided to focus on, to harness in high school, in primary? What led you to that path?
Yeah, well, I was in Blue Water Bay Primary, and I was quite a tall, thin girl.
Yeah.
And very athletic, because I come from a very athletic family from my father's side. I was a tennis player, was an athlete, and so I met my teacher I was 11, so probably like grade 3, grade 4, and she said to me, listen, there's a sport called netball, you're tall, I think you can play shooter, try it out. So I tried it out. We played our first match against Wilmer West. We lost 8-4, and I was the shooter, and I'm a sore loser. So I was just like, this sport is not for me.
It's not for me.
When I can make the team lose, no. Then she encouraged me to continue, and she said, you know, one day you'll be a star. Don't stop playing, and I've never stopped ever since.
Zanele, how important was your coach's words at that young age? And I'm assuming at every girl's age at that point, how important is it for those words to echo on and inspire you to continue?
So very important. I must say at that age, I didn't really realize the impact that those words would have had or would have. Now looking back in hindsight, I never forget that. I remember, I can still hear her say those words to me. And the amazing thing is that she's actually my son's teacher now.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and he always comes home and he tells me all these stories that come from her about me, you know. But every young girl needs someone who believes in them more than they believe in themselves and sees something in them that when they're not seeing it in themselves first.
True.
And then that sort of, you know, propels you to the next level. And I'll never forget those words. And they're the words that carried me and made me push. And irrespective of the challenges I faced, I still persevered and endured and got to where I ultimately wanted to get to.
You know, it's so important that we never talk about the teenagers, the girls, when they hit puberty. It's we have the highest number that the girls then fall out of sport because of puberty. So what made you stay? You're hitting high school, you're long and lanky. In high school, all sorts of things get said to a teenager. What kept you going eventually to say, I want to wear the green and gold?
So I started representing the province, Eastern Province, at the age of 12.
Yes.
I was an under 13, and then I moved up to under 16, under 15, under 16, all the different age groups. And I was fortunate to get to high school and have such an amazing mentor. She was my accounting teacher, but she was also my netball coach, Mrs. McLeod. And her and I used to clash a lot because she really pushed me to levels where I thought, listen, it's okay, you know, it's okay. But she saw something in me that I didn't see in myself at that time, and she wanted me not to waste my talent. And she always said to me, you've got such a talent, but talent alone is not enough. You've got to add hard work, you've got to have discipline, you know. So at that stage, I was still like, I can cruise. I was in the first team in grade 8, you know, and then, so I was like, I've got this thing locked down. But then the more she, you know, supported me and showed me that, listen, you can have the talent, but your talent will only take you this far. And her support, I mean, I'll also never forget her. You know, we're still very much in contact even now.
Wow.
I mean, she follows everything I do. She's always texting and checking, saying, yes, I'm so proud of you. I've just seen this, I've just seen that. And these are people who've held my hand, you know, because, I mean, my parents were working. They couldn't be there full-time to see me do all these things. And I was fortunate to be blessed with coaches who really were selfless and just said, you know what, we see something in you and we want to make sure that you make the most of what God has blessed you with.
At the top of the show, I did mention to our viewers that I would pose this to you as well, as we're talking about the quote of the day from Pam Golden, and it says, I've always believed that women can do anything they set their hearts on. What's your take on that?
Absolutely. You know, when I heard you say that, the poem of my Anglo came into mind, hey black child, you know, do you know who you are? Do you know you can be whatever you want to be? Do you know you are strong, so very strong? You know, and I say those things to myself. I remind myself of those things. It is true. A woman can do anything she sets her mind to. Nothing is impossible.
Is that why you then moved from the green and gold and your career just transitioned into coaching? How easy was that, or difficult was that?
It wasn't difficult because I knew that my career will come to an end at some stage. And I started a little foundation in Port Elizabeth called the Vision Girls. Sorry, because for me it was always important that I give back to the young girl child in my province where my netball was nurtured. But most importantly, to hold one child's hand and help them show them the way, because I had those people who held my hand and didn't get paid to do it, but they just said, we see something in you, we want to help you, and we want to take you as far as you can possibly go.
Wow.
And now I look at netball from a different perspective. I see a completely different picture, and I say, my goodness, when I was a player and always challenged my coaches, I didn't really realize what these guys were going through. Now I'm sitting on that seat and I have players who challenge me.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, so this is how it feels. This is how they felt. It is, when you're winning, it's great.
Great, yeah.
When you're not, it's a completely different
And it's your
game.
fault when we're losing.
When the team wins, it's brilliant players.
Yeah.
When the team loses, it's a bad coach.
Yeah.
So that's what I've come to realize. But I must say, I am where I'm supposed to be. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Like I wouldn't trade this time and space in my life for anything. I am out of my comfort zone, but this is where I'm growing. This is where I'm learning so much more about myself, and I'm in a good space.
But not only are you were a great player, still is a great player. You went on to become the first black coach in an institution that. You don't find black coaches in all the sporting codes, so to speak. And also being the difficulty of being a coach. Now you're black and a coach.
Yeah. And a young one as well.
A young one. And now you're a female. There are a lot of blocks there.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And I promise you, I mean, this is my 3rd year there at the University of Stellenbosch. And everyone, you know, when I got there, the players that I had, they've seen me as a player. That's how they related to me.
Yes.
Some of them idolized me. They were like major fans. And now
expectations are this high.
You know, and now I'm coming there and I'm realizing that there's so much more to winning on court first. 2017 was a year where I had to win off court with my girls. I had to win the relationship, the trust. I had to build the trust in the relationship and the understanding that I'm the coach and you're the player, but we can have a beautiful relationship.
Yeah.
I do have your best interest at heart. I had to literally sell that to them so that they understand that I'm coming to enhance them, to make them better people, you know.
Yeah.
So 2017 was a challenging year, 2018 much better, 2019 we are on another level now. It's unbelievable how well we're doing, how in sync we are, how supportive we are. We've grown in heaps and bounds, and the results are now transcending.
Evident.
Onto the netball field.
All right, what an incredible journey that she's travelled so far. ZANELE MDODANA is a game changer, trailblazer, yonkinto on the ladies' club this morning. All of that right after this. Welcome back. You are watching the Ladies Club, and it's time now to take a look at the movers and shakers who led the way for women in sport. Our trailblazer today is well-known sport coaching specialist, Dr. Elsie Jordan. She is a market leader in sport in the industry as a whole and a pioneer in the coaching circles. Now, she's a former senior national netball player and captain, is a specialist in developing and using digital platforms for recording match patterns and processing, as well as reporting match statistics and trends. Let's find out from our game changer, ZANELE, in terms of the likes of Elsie, what kind of impact she's had in your career and the ladies that are still up and coming. She's phenomenal. Dr. Elsie Jordan, I had the honour of being coached by her. She came into the Protea netball setup when I was still a player. Yeah. And actually, she was very instrumental in that match where we beat England. Whoa, in PE. The match we mentioned before. Wow. Yep. So very smart, strategic, technical, tactical. Nice. She is really a super brain. I consult with her on a regular basis. I love her. I try and figure out like what is her plan. When I watch teams that she coaches, I always try and see what is her game plan. You know, because she's always got something up her sleeve. Yeah. Really a phenomenal woman. Very key to netball in our country, and she's got the brains and. She's the coach now of the under-21 team that we're going to the World Cup, and I'm really excited to see what that World Cup under-21 team will do come 2021. What has been some of the most challenging moments in your coaching career?
Definitely one was in 2017 when I arrived at the University of Stellenbosch. We had our first tournament, and that was the USA Championships. And
how did that go?
We came 5th. And that was like literally the first time, I think, ever that Marty's.
Where were they before?
I think they were 4th before. But it was like we didn't even get a chance to play for the play a semi-final. And now I'm a new coach, and I'm with players, like some senior players there, you know, and it's like, we've never had such a bad result, you know, and I have to take responsibility. Yes. I'm the coach, you know, so I've got to shoulder that. It was really a testing experience. But I learned from that, and I realized that you're never always going to have highs. They're going to be lows, but it's how you deal with the lows and how you bounce back from those, you know. And amazingly, a month and a half later, we were involved in the varsity netball competition, and we ended up 3rd.
Wow.
So we came together, and I said, girls, it's either we're going to really dismantle and fall apart completely, or we're going to come together as a team and come up with solutions and ways to be better and end this year on a high. And they opted to come on board and buy in, and we had good success. But that was really, really challenging, and everybody was like, this black coach.
Yeah, what is she doing? How was she representing the country?
What's going on? Like, this is the worst result ever. And now we laugh about it, because when we look back now, we laugh about it. We're like, hey, guys, we come a long way, hey? But we appreciate those moments.
Now, where do you want to take your coaching career?
To be honest with you, everybody's asked me this question. Yeah. And I've always believed that I don't know if I want to sit as the Protea coach in the future. What I want to do is really mold the youth, mold like the kids that I know that can feed into the senior team. I love the under-21s, I love the under-19s, I love the university level. That's where I'd like to be, but I also would want to go overseas and sit at the feet of one of the world's best coaches, like the Silver Ferns coach, Nolene. She is phenomenal. I've made that known. I've sent it out to the universe, and I'm like, an opportunity just to go and hear and learn from her and just see what do they do differently that we here in South Africa are not doing. And then bring that knowledge back and really empower the youth in my country where netball is concerned.
Let's talk about the inclusion of various sporting codes, whether it's Commonwealth Games or Olympic Games. Does it really show, is it a true reflection of where we're trying to go? Or do we still have instances like the pay gap that is still there, that we are still waiting for it to be corrected in 2019?
You know, we are grateful for the inclusion of sports, of female sports in Commonwealth or World Cups. But we also understand that that pay gap is something very serious, and it's something that people are trying to shove under the rug. But we've got to keep bringing it up, because it needs to be addressed, and solutions need to be found. You know, it's been a while. Let's take the netball, for example. For the first time, the girls came back from the World Cup and pocketed thousands of rands. There's 0,000 in their bank accounts, and it's coming from the sport they love. Whereas when I was a player, it was always you're doing it for the love of the game. Yeah. And you just you're wearing the green and gold, and you're wearing the Protea on your chest because you love your country. But why must the women's sports be like that? Yeah. Why? And the male sports, it's like, this is a job, it's a profession, and I'm getting paid to do what I love and also to represent my country. So we are seeing progress, but we need more. We need more progress, and it needs to be consistent, and it needs to be visible across the board.
What do you think gave our South African girls the great momentum and the great upsurge in their performance at the World Cup?
Well, we must understand, when Coach Norma Plummer came here 5 years ago, she picked her team, and she picked a team and that she stuck with for like 5 years. But also she opened doors for these players to play overseas, in England, in Australia, in New Zealand. So a lot of our Proteas were based overseas, playing in franchise, playing at the highest level. Sure. Franchise teams. So the players that they met or played against at the World Cup,
they know them.
Their teammates or their opponents, you know. So it wasn't a state of shock. It was like, we know who these people are. We know their strengths and weaknesses. And also, she's worked with the team for 5 years. So it was the core of the group had the experience, you know, and you could see even when the team was playing, she had a 7 that she started to believe in, and then the young ones that came through. So that's what really was key for our Spar Proteas. But also, it was also like, it was time for us to really, you know, just break those doors open, you know, and beating Jamaica in that round robin game, that's where we knew that there's no way we are heading to the semi-finals.
Oh, absolutely memorable. I mean, I can't wait for the World Cup come 2023. But let's now bring it back to you. What is a typical day like in the life of Zanele?
Wow, well, in Stellenbosch, very different from when I was in PE. But basically, wake up, do a gym session. I left netball and then I did a little bit of triathlon. So I can either go for a bike or run. And then go to work. If I don't have individual sessions with my players, then we have maybe training in the evening. But if you talk about a weekend, I love exploring the wine farms around Stellenbosch.
Nice.
Yeah, so now I've become a
wine connoisseur.
A snob, more like
you
it.
really are.
Really,
so you let it breathe, the red wine, let it breathe first.
Let it, and you know, all those things. But yeah, it's a different.
You don't just drink. You twirl.
You got to take time. You got to take the time. But yeah, so then I explore and I go to markets. I love the markets. Yeah. It's a different life that I'm living out there. It's a beautiful life, very. Green. I always say, you go to Stellenbosch and I go to Ocean Basket and the lettuce I'm eating, it's so fresh. It's like, it's so crispy, you know. Everything's just, and it's so peaceful and you can run, you can cycle and so that's basically how my life is.
And when you have to talk to the young ones right now, what would you say to them in making sure that their dreams are not deterred and are not sidelined?
When I was under 19, I looked at Martha Moswatle. She's now the coach of Free State. She was wearing the Protea blazer and she was the captain. And I said, we were playing in Belleville, and I said, one day I'm going to wear that blazer and I'm going to be the captain of the Spa Proteas. And I still remember some people coming around and saying, whose place are you going to take in the team?
Yeah.
You know, the kind of thing. You've got to have a dream.
Amen. And
your dream, they say, if it doesn't scare you, it's not big enough. Yes. And that was scary for me. Yes. But I never, ever, not a single day doubted that I'll get there. And there were challenges. They're going to be challenges. Many. Some of them might look insurmountable, but they're not. Just keep pressing, keep pushing, keep persevering. The doors are wide open for women in sport. There are people who are advocating and fighting the battles for that the youth coming behind after us, they can get to reap the reward. But you must know that you're going to have to sacrifice.
And that is our guest for today. ZANELE MDODANA has been absolutely phenomenal. Remember that your dreams are never too big. Follow them and stay in your lane. But for now, thank you for spending time with us right here on the Ladies Club. You're welcome, obviously, to share any of your thoughts, your ideas, trailblazers and stories about women in sport that inspire you at home. Remember, though, that greatness is earned and it is never, ever given. I'm Lebo Motswedi for SABC Sport. Goodbye.